a powder keg, and maybe sometime we will end up talking about that. But as our guest is now here, I think that, Roleza, you take the lead, of course. And
Yes. All right. So we have Mr. Conroy Huggins joining us this morning for our Activated Mornings program in our political conversation series. All right. So, Mr. Huggins, good morning to you.
Good morning.
All right. Hold on. That's always me. Go ahead. Let's try that again.
All right, good morning. Good to be here, WEFM. Thanks for having me.
Lovely, lovely, lovely. And how have you been, though?
I've been great.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been great.
Right. All right. So let's get this ball rolling. Mr. Huggins, who are you?
Good question. Well, my name is Conroy Huggins. Born, bred, butter, curry in Curtains Village, Barley. Grew up in Barley. Went to school, primary, secondary in Barley, and been a community person in Barley, involved in sports, community work. Basically, entrepreneur. Had a barbershop, Conroy's barbershop. It was a household name in the mid-90s, late 90s, before I went off to study. So a lot of the guys know me, as Conroy from the barbershop. And so during that time, was engaged heavily with trimming the young people and all of that. Was a football coach, football manager. Founder of the Curtains United Football Club and the Curtains United Sports Club. And that is like 34 years ago. So next year we're going to celebrate.
34 years ago?
Yeah. You're checking. This guy look like 20 something. Yeah, I got you there.
All right.
Yeah, but I mean, 34 years ago. So next year I'll be celebrating our 35th anniversary, and we're planning big things for 35.
Okay.
Big things for 35. Yeah.
All right.
So if I were to come in Central Leeward and I ask who is Conroy, what will the people tell me about Mr.
Right.
Huggins?
So it depends on which part of Central Leeward you're in. So if you're in Curtains or Barley, and you ask about that, they will say, "Oh, who mix?" Because generally, I mean, people around my age group who went to school with me, they know me as Mix. That's a nickname, and it came about from my heritage, right? My heritage, it's African, Indian, and Scottish. Well, I'm black, but you might be wondering Scottish. But,
No.
but you
We know how it is.
you
We know
know
how it is.
how it is. It's a whole Callaloo,
Right.
type situation here in St. Vincent. So as a result of my heritage, I got that nickname Mix very early. But right now, you mentioned Conroy Huggins in Central Leeward. The first thing they're gonna ask you, who the guy that is running for the NDP? that's gonna be the question, and they're gonna go like, "Oh yeah, boy, he's really fiery. We like to hear him. We like to listen to him." So and he has great plans for Central Leeward. So
All right. So why did you consider politics?
I think politics considered me.
Okay, let's hear more on this.
Politics considered me, and I came forward as a request of the people for many, many years. I went off to study in university in the late 1999. Sorry.
Let me do maths again.
Yeah, you go do your maths. That's okay. 1999. And while I was overseas, I came back a couple of times, and I came home summer after summer, studied in Cuba. And as far back as 2001, a prominent person identified me as a future representative for Central Leeward. Very, very prominent person. And when I returned from studies in 2006, I was sought after. But I felt it was like, nah. I mean, single, desiring to be married then.
Hold on. So politics was going to stop that? Let me hear.
No. You have to get the priorities right.
Oh, okay.
So things have to come in order.
I see.
Right? So at that time, it wasn't something on my radar. So got married in 2008. But 2010 elections, persons were asking me to come forward. 2015, 2020. And you might be surprised. Persons were asking me from both sides of the spectrum to come forward. Persons recognize something, in me, I guess. And then I have a deep connection with Central Leeward. Not just Curtains, not just Barley, but Central Leeward in a whole. Because back then when I played football, Curtains United, we participated in the Bookerment tournament, which we won, and represented Bookerment in the club championships in Big Victoria Park. And we had some great times playing football in Bookerment. I must put in something here. When I played football in Bookerment in the late 90s, the surface in Bookerment was it was one of the best surfaces we had in St. Vincent. Then the surface itself was on par with Annisville. The surface itself, it was on par with Annisville. Today, it's nothing. But that connection, and I also played football in Leyu. So, I know a lot of the guys from Leyu. I played football with my school team. And though I was playing with my club team, football at Barley Secondary School was so competitive that I wasn't a first-time starter, but, I was on the sub. And those were the days when Barley dominated. Well, we still dominate in football today, but back in that time, we dominated football at the secondary school level. And I think there was even a time when we played Floodlights at Victoria Park with this guy Walker. He had started something. And the school tournament had actually participated in a tournament there in the night. So, I know, fun time and deep connection with Barley, Bookerment, and Leyu.
Okay, so you said that politics called you and that both sides, persons were asking for you to represent or become the representative or candidate on both sides. So why did you consider the NDP?
Well, what happened after the 2020 elections, the day after, a former schoolmate of mine, he lives in the States now, he reached out to me and he was like, Conroy, I don't know what is going on in St. Vincent, but Barley Central Leeward need representation. And we need people like you to come out and come forward. And at that time, I was like, I'm not really certain about that at this time. I was teaching at the time, a graduate teacher. And I after a while, it started to play on my mind because, frankly speaking, I've been in education for the last, before I went away, I was teaching. When I came back, went back into teaching, then I was at Banana Association and so forth. But I felt there was need for change. And for Central Leeward, I wasn't pleased with what I've been seeing in Central Leeward being on the ground. So at that point, I started to give it some consideration. But more like 2022, more and more persons started to ask and say, Conroy, you really need to come forward. I think what would have happened though, the vaccine mandates to some extent may have strengthened my desire because I felt it was unjust what was done, how it was done. I think it was not right,
Were you one of the teachers at the time?
Yes, I was one of the teachers. And the day when I received my letter, I remember saying to a colleague of mine, and I said that to the principal also, once I leave, I will not return into teaching. And I meant it then. And then I remember saying to my colleague, if I come back into education, I'll be coming back as the Minister of Education. Because
that was actually a question I had down for you, but all right.
because I'm responding to you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I felt decision making is very serious, and we just kind of take decision making, just out of the box. We have to have careful consideration, and you have to also look at the impact that decision making will have on present generation, but future generation also. So that also became a motivation. But interestingly, after I was dismissed, I received a letter stating to me that I resigned. And I felt it was comical, to be honest with you. I mean, I know if you resign from a post, you will write and request and state that you're no longer interested and why and you leave. But the state itself, the state resigned me. And I find that was kind of comical, you know. But then, you know, I got into consultancy work from there. I mean, I remember saying to my church, I remember saying to my family, I remember saying to my friends that David declared he was young, he became old, yet he has never seen the righteous forsaken or their seed begging for bread. And I remember saying that to my wife and my children. And it was really hard because one of the hardest things for a man, and the Bible declared it this way, a man who cannot take care of his family, he's worse than an infidel. It means that he's worse than an invalid. He's worse than someone who is incapacitated, who cannot work for themselves. And I felt that way. And when I felt that way, I literally cried. It was really emotional because when you look at your family and you can't make ends meet and you are uncertain how you're going to pay the bills and you're uncertain how you're going to send your children to school, that was tough. And I have 4 children, right? 2 presently in secondary school, 2 in primary school. At the time, the first 2 were in primary school. The first one was in grade 6. So, you know, it was very, very difficult. It was very challenging. But when I made that declaration, you know, about David and what he said, I just felt confident about it. And then I received a call from overseas, from Southeast Asia, offering me a job in St. Vincent. Okay. And I literally glorified God as a result. And, you know, that was a really good experience. And then, you know, that came to an end the 30th of June. And the call continued to come.
Okay. All right. So at this time, we normally have a break at 8:30 for courts. So everybody just stay there, right? Stay where you are, just stay there.
I'm here, no problem.
Every day with courts. Oh, yeah. Get value for your money. Courts have the best quality. Home is what you make it. Best prices and good credit. Courts have it all.
Courts, make home yours.
All right, and at this time, we invite the representative from courts to call us at this time. All right, so courts desk is happening at this time, and then we will continue our conversation with Mr. Conroy Huggins. All right, so just a reminder that we are standing by to receive a call from courts, as this is usually our time where we bring to you courts desk. All right, so what I would suggest that we will continue our conversation with Mr. Huggins at this time, and then when courts calls, we would entertain the call from them. Okay, so courts, if you're listening, feel free to call us at any point in time. All right, but we will continue our conversation with Mr. Huggins now. So yes, Mr. Huggins, Dianna.
Oh yes. So you mentioned you have a wife, you have several children. My question is, when you decided to accept the call, you say politics call, and you decide to answer.
Yes.
So when you answered the call, what was the response you got from your family and those persons who had been begging you to answer the call for years? What was the response?
That's a very good question. I'm kind of feeling maybe courts is giving way for us to continue the conversation.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe they're doing that. So that is a very good question, because I think at the convention, I stated that all that I said to you, but also it was a difficult decision. And the difficulty in that decision was family and friends, because their family who felt politics was too nasty for you to go into. That's what they said to me. There are friends who are up to today concerned about my safety, because they felt as if getting into politics, it's so nasty, and it could get so nasty. We are concerned about your well-being. For me, I felt this to be a call. So it's a call that I've responded to. But I also feel deep down that it's time for us to have a different image to politics, a different image to national leadership. And some persons will say, well, I'm certain you may have read some of the things or heard something about me related to my faith in Christ and Christianity. And that is something that I do not apologize for. I mean, that is part of my reality. It's part of my culture. It's part of who I am. And when I decided, my decision was also based on being a light and being an example. And I felt that my coming forward would be an inspiration to this generation and for generation to come. So as a graduate teacher and have been in the classroom for a number of years, I felt I owed it to my students, to come forward and help to reassure their future. So yes, my family was very, very concerned. The concern was the mudslinging, name calling, and being dragged into that kind of nasty arena. But for me, my decision is I am not. I mean, so far, nobody could accuse me of maligning anyone, accusing anyone, or speaking ill about anyone. That is not my style. So I'm going to be focusing on facts. I'm going to be focusing on my plans. I'm going to be focused on the issues in Central Leeward and the representation, the kind of representation that I want to bring to Central Leeward. So that is essentially what drives me. So the concern for my family, it was there. It was about my well-being. It was about, the name calling and mudslinging. And people even said to me, well, they're going to bring up about your mother, about your father, about your grandmother, about your grandfather, about whoever in your family that they don't know about, they're going to bring it up. And at this time in my life, I am very assertive. That's one of the things about me. I'm very assertive about myself. And I'm a visionary. And I know I'm a leader. I'm a leader of leaders. I'm a trainer of trainers. So, yeah.
All right. Hi, caller. Good morning.
Hi, good morning. Calling from Coach Redica.
Yeah, good morning. And how are you?
Good morning. I'm good. How about you?
I'm good. Good.
Okay, great.
All
Great. So, I'm just here this morning to let you guys know about our ready cash loans that we have going on right now. Per usual, so you know that we have our normal ready cash loan, which is 2 piece of ID, proof of address, uniform for utility bill, job letter, and payslip. Now, the thing with the payslip is if you get paid weekly, you bring your last 4. You need to bring 4. If you get paid fortnightly, it'll be the most recent 2, and monthly, it'll be the most recent 1. And also, we have our payday loans. Those are interest-free. They are from 300 to 1,000, and you must repay within a 3-month period. We have our business and agriculture loans as well for all the farmers out there and the persons who are doing their own little small business. Now, with the business loans, it's the same required documents. It's a piece of ID, proof of address. The only difference is you won't bring your job letter. You will bring in, let's say you write down your sales in a notebook, or you can bring a bank statement. So if you write them down in a notebook, you bring in the notebook, or if you have a receipt book, you bring the receipt book. You bank the money, you can bring the bank statement, and your business must have a fixed location as well for that. Our opening hours are Mondays to Fridays from 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Our contact information is 494-5380. Our that number has WhatsApp as well. And you can call us at 493-7623. We're located opposite the post office, right after Lady J. The sign is right above. coach ready cash, you just knock on the door and the security will let you in. Again, our contact number is 4945380. You can WhatsApp us on that number, and 493-7623. You can call us on that one. We're open Mondays to Fridays from 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Okay?
Okay.
Yeah, that's all we have for you guys this morning.
All right, no problem. So I was gonna just look forward to hearing from you next week, but there won't be a next week. It'll be the following
You
week.
never know.
Well,
You never know. The following week might be my day.
well, no, because next Monday is a holiday. That's what I meant.
Yes.
Right.
So next Monday, you will hear us the following Monday.
Right. All right. So I just want to
Yeah.
wish you a great week as well as a great Independence weekend coming up.
Same to you as well, and be safe.
All right. You as well. Thanks very much.
Alrighty, bye-bye.
All right. And that was our quotes desk for today. Just to note that we are going to take a very, very quick commercial break, and then we'll be right back to continue our conversation with Mr. Conroy Huggins.
Just for you at Quartz Optical. Get 15% off. When you bring in your prescription from any other eye care provider, we'll give you 15% off the cost of your frames and lenses. So visit us today and get 15% off. Offer valid on cash and credit purchases. Conditions apply. See in-store for details. Quartz Optical. Value you can see.
First National Bank is pleased to offer Vincentians the First National Bank Reserve. Get an unsecured loan of up to $30,000 for roof repairs, water tanks, generators, or any other protective measures. No deposit required, with interest rates as low as 8%. It's the First National Bank Reserve. Visit us at Heritage Square or call 456-1501 for more information. First National Bank Reserve, preserving the livelihood of all Vincentians. Terms and conditions apply. First National Bank, here for you.
Boy, that's where you getting crashing on. Your brakes real good, boy.
Now brakes alone good enough. My tires good too.
Tires? Where you get them tires, boy?
Out by Caribbean Tire Plus, man. They out in Addersville. Can't miss it. Look for the orange container on them. Plenty parking space and open 7 days a week all thing, man. Monday to Saturday, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. And on Sundays, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Call them today. Caribbean Tire Plus, 784-432-4786 or email ctiresplus@gmail.com.
Yes, sir.
Our industry relies on all of us to play our part. We take pride in showcasing our beautiful island, our craft, our cuisine, and our warm Vincentian hospitality.
Each of us play a crucial role in showcasing our vibrant tourism industry. We can create spaces where visitors can unwind, connect with nature, and embrace tranquility of our beautiful surroundings.
We need everyone on board to help us create an exceptional experience for our guests.
Join us at our National Tourism Community Consultations as we shape the future of tourism in St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
It's everyone's business, yeah. Live it, love it, embrace it.
Listen all day, every day on your favorite streaming platform. The clean, fresh sound. Activated Mornings on WEFM 99.9 is on now.
All right, wasting no time. We're jumping right back into it with our interview with Mr. Conroy Huggins. And interestingly, when you were answering that question that Dianna asked in relation to how your family felt with you taking part in politics, and you're talking about things that generally happen with politics, I was actually looking at Doc, because I'm thinking of even his own experience when he was involved in active politics. So yeah, happy that both of you are actually in the room.
Yes. Well, let me say, no, as a matter of fact, I think in the next election, we're going to have two fiery speakers, both of them young, even though you were trying to. But there's no doubt Dr. Rooster is a lot younger. you know, and considered as a youthful, has been attracting a lot of the youth support in that area, substantial support. And I have no doubt in my mind that when the call to get into politics comes in, there is scrutiny. There are the naysayers. And probably scrutiny is essential because you don't want things to come out later on that damage you. But I've been reflecting on this because I pass through Central Leeward all the time. I stop off in Curtains. I look at the football games. There may be one criticism, and I wonder if you could address this, in the sense that it is said that from your days in football, that after leaving the community, you may not have had a substantial amount of engagement with Central Leeward. How would you address persons who might say that?
Yeah.
Because, you know, I'm getting that feeling, the person saying, well, look, after all this time, is now you're coming back. How have you heard that before? Have you been hearing that particular criticism? And
Well,
if you have, how would you address
All
it?
right. Well, actually, that is not a major concern in Central Leeward. I know one or two persons came across with that, and generally it's persons from the ULP. So the thing about it is that I never left Central Leeward, right? I'm not in Central Leeward the way I was in the 90s.
Are you residing in Central Leeward?
I'm not residing in Central Leeward presently.
Okay.
Right? But we have 2 family homes in Central Leeward, and I also have a property in Central Leeward, right? So I am in Central Leeward all the time. The thing about it is that my presence in Central Leeward is consistent. That is something that I was already told that will be thrown at me from the ULP. And the person who said that to me, I told them, no problem, bring it on. Because my coming forward, as I said, is a request of the people. Now, the people who requested me knew that when I returned from university, and yes, I was back at home. Then, you know, I lived in Camden Park for a short period of time. And after getting married, we were able to purchase a property in the Brighton area, right? So my family, we reside there. But as I said, we have 2 family properties in Barley, and I also have a property in Barley. So I am underground all the time, and will be underground even more now that I am integrally involved in the politics. So that is not a major concern for the people of Central Leeward. What I could say to you is that I'm underground all the time, and since I have been announced, I try to be in the constituency underground 3 days a week, doing walkabouts, right? 3 days a week, and that is in Barley, Layu, Bookament. And the issues on the ground, I'm very, very, familiar with them. The concerns on the ground. One of the disappointments that persons talked about is that since the last election, the current representative, has been lacking, as in not visible on the ground. And interestingly, the day after my selection on the 5th of September, the following day, then, he got active and, called around a bit in Barley, the Friday. And then the following week, the people said to me that the lights at his office in Barley went on the following week. They said the place was always in darkness. And then since then, you've been having food distribution, you've been having, engagement with farmers, with fishers. Because I stated it from day one that the representation has been lacking. And it is evident. And as I engage the people, they say that. So my thing is that I am coming with better representation and proper representation.
Okay, and in terms of the developments within Central Leeward, what do you see as being lacking, or what have persons said as being lacking?
Right.
Because one of the things that I'm looking at as well is that there are several tourist attractions within that Central Leeward area. You have the Wallaby Park, you have the Petroglyph Park in Layu, you have Pirates of the Caribbean and other scenic sites there, right? Mm-hmm. If you are, and I have to say if, but I know most times y'all would like to say when y'all get into power, what are some of the things?
Well, I will tell you when I am elected.
Right. What are some of the things that you wish to see for overall development of the community? We have a call, so let's take the call before You
Okay,
answered
no
my
problem.
question. Hi, caller. Good morning.
Good
Caller.
morning, my sister, my brothers. I'm not going to be long. I just want to ask a question to Mr. Greetings, Mr. Huggins. This is Mr. Hamilton speaking.
Good morning,
Do you know
Mr.
me?
Hamilton. Yes, I'm familiar with the voice.
I'm one of the persons who've been in a struggle. Look, they could tell you here, all of them in here, even your support of Mr. Thompson. I've been in the struggle for people. And one of the problems I'm having, brother, is that there are politicians who seem to feel that they can underestimate other politicians. Mr. Gonsalves is a person, I work with him. He is, well, if you might think that he is a bad person, he is also a very talented politician in that he's not somebody who could easily walk. And when a newcomer comes on the stream, you have to give respect to respect due. Just like if you're going into boxing, you can't, you have a world champion, because I'm not saying Mr. Gonsalves is a world champion, but this is a seasoned politician. And if you are looking at a situation where your party been in the wilderness for how much, 20-something years, and you're a newcomer, you have to say, boy, is it that we're doing something wrong? And you can come on the scene to boast that you're going to win, you have to understand that it's a fight.
Brother Hamilton.
We are looking at a race in America, and you're seeing a newcomer in Kamala Harris against Donald Trump. And you have to understand this, that I am only begging you, do not make the mistake that all the other newcomers have made in your party. Settle down. Don't say you're on the ground, because this is Hammy. I could stand in front of a judge and testify that I've called hundreds of people who didn't even see you. And so I'm begging you,
Mr. Hamilton, I am on the ground.
Stop the game.
Okay. All right. Hamilton, are you going to ask a specific question?
You've asked me any question up to now.
Let me
ask a specific question so that we could continue, please.
What gave you that audacity to feel that you could do better than the last candidate? What gave you that audacity? Because I'm saying that you could do better.
So your question is, what makes him a better candidate, right?
Than the other candidate.
Okay, all right. So thank you. All right, Mr. Huggins.
All right, thank you, Mr. Hamilton, for your intervention. Now, keep in mind that I was selected just 6 weeks to this date, right? 6 weeks. And within that 6 weeks, it is impossible for me to have visited every household, right? So the way in which we are conversing and combing the constituency, we are doing it community by community, right? So we have been in Curtains, Walibo, we into Curtains Hill and so forth. We are engaging the communities. We have done the same thing in Bookament, right? By the Bookament Bay, in King Grove and so forth. We are in the community. In Layo, we have been in Cashville, we have been in Rutlandville, and we're going through the community. Now, it is impossible for you to call around to 7,000 persons and ask 5,000 of them if you have seen Conroy Huggins in the last 6 weeks. I mean, it's not possible. They would have seen me, Mr. Hamilton, on social media, have seen me in the news, they have heard of me on the radio. So I'm not being audacious. What I'm just being is realistic and optimistic. I did not get involved, as I say. You asked me, why? And I said to you, I didn't choose politics choose me. But the very fact that I came forward, I did not come forward to just show up to participate. I am here to win the seat and to bring representation. So what I am pointing out are the areas that I recognize have been failures. And now, as you're asking the question, now I could put forward, what I will do and the things that I see that can be done better,
So what are some of the things that you see that can be done better within the constituency itself?
Right. So first and foremost, Central Leeward, Walibo, all the way to Bookament. Our roads, in terms of the community roads, they have been left basically the way they were, most of it, since 98, basically, right? Was in Bookament just Friday. And when we left the area from the gas station, going through the area passing the Golden Year Center to go to the playing field and come back through the community. The persons I was walking with, they said to me, that road was done before this administration, and it just reached to the Golden Year Center. But from there on, the rest of it is dirt, going right back into the community, literally dirt, going all the way to the playing field, literally dirt. I'm saying after 23 years, I mean, we should have been able to do something better there, right? That is something that I told the community that we will prioritize. One of the other things that because one of the things I'm also doing is listening to the concerns of the community. Because in order to bring representation, and that is the difference with me, in order to bring representation, you also need to engage the people in the community, the stakeholders, and get their concerns. And you now see how best you can address those concerns based on your resources and so forth. One of the things that they pointed out to me and my team is the area with the river. You remember the 2013 floods. Mm-hmm. And you know, unfortunately, we lost some lives there. Some persons, I am of the opinion, are living too close to the river. They are good lands in terms of, you know, flat lands within the area, and river defense is needed. You know, is needed for the protection of the homes, but not just for the homes, for the protection of the lands in the community on a whole. Because what happened in 2013, it is possible that it could happen again. I mean, we've been talking a lot about climate change and, you know, the situation with rain and how we could have, you know, downpours that is just, you know, unusual. So if we were to get a repeat of 2013, it is possible that we could have a situation where we have loss of lives, right? In Bookament, down in the community going down to the bay, there's a piece of road leading to the school that is being done from the polyclinic down to the school. The community informed me that that road has been, it started November of 2023 and it's still continuing. It's just about 100 feet of road. I mean, I can't see why you need an entire year to do 100 feet of road. Yeah, you put in drainage and all of that. To me, that is just, you know, too long. And when you walk through the community, we are lacking in terms of road infrastructure in Bookament. Now, in Leyu, and this is also true for Leyu, Bookament, and Barreley, the plain surfaces in terms of the playing fields, right? When I played on them at the time as a youth, well, I know I still look young, but I take care of myself.
Yeah.
I am big on health, so I take care of myself. But when I played then, those surfaces were in far better condition. So one of the things that I've already committed, and Dr. Friday said it on his first visit with me just 2 days after my election when we went to Curtains, and we met with the guys playing football there in the Barreley Sports Association tournament, is that we will improve the playing surfaces, as in resurface all playing, because I am a sports enthusiast. Not only that I played football, but I also was an athlete. I ran the 800 meters and the 1500 meters. And I also medaled back in the day at inter-school sports. So, you know, I have that desire, of that passion, always engage in youth engagement and youth development. So for me, high on my agenda will be the sporting facilities, right? Improving the sporting facilities. So one of the things that I've already said in my plan for Central Leeward, we will resurface all 3 playing fields. There's one to the back of the secondary school in Peters Hope, but that one in Curtains where the tournament is being played, the one in Leyu, the one in Bookament Bay, we'll resurface all 3 of those. Not only that, we would resurface them and regrass them. And as an agronomist, I mean, and a project manager, I'll be able to ensure that that is done properly, right? We will fence them, as in having them properly protected so that, you know, animals and people just do not walk through. We will seat them and we will light them, all 3. I actually have the initial drawings. I did them myself. So those are now with the professionals to bring, you know, what that will look like. And that is in the making. For Barreley, my priority for Barreley within the first 90 days, I've declared this already, and I mean this seriously. There's an area, after you left where the old Barreley police station is, there's a shop there, we call it Silima Shop. My schoolmate mother started that, where you do fried chicken and, you know, so people go to get their fast food and so forth. Just from there, you have the the teachers union office where Western Union is. You remember that robbery that took place? I talk about that a bit. Now, that road, it's seriously in bad condition. Within the first 90 days, I've already declared that, and Dr. Friday supported it. We will resurface that road right into Botland Glass. Botland Glass is a fishing community. In the poverty assessment, it is one of the areas that is referred to as, high in incidence of poverty. I will change that. We will change that because as a fishing community, there's money to be made from the blue economy and fishing. So right where the Blackfish facility is being constructed there now, still under construction, should have been completed since 2019, still going on. But that road, and there's a cemetery right there in Botland Glass, we will bring a road right around there with proper drainage and so forth. That is going to be priority. So things like that, roads, have to be done. Other thing that I must highlight is that Central Leeward has 2 police stations, one in Layou and one in Barley. The one in Barley, I'm certain you would have heard me talk about that if you had listened to my presentation at the convention 2 Sundays ago, that for the 2 police stations, both of them cannot come one, if I could put it that way. The one in Barley, built by the French back somewhere in the 1800s, it would have gone through its restorative work and so forth, but it was abandoned by the state in February of 2021. And since then, that has just been left there to rot. Layou is in no better condition. I mean, on the Layou police station, the outside, the interior, it's just as dilapidated. The guttering on top has grass and shrubs growing. As an agriculturist, it is confusing to understand how grass could be growing and shrubs could be growing on a roof, in the guttering of a roof. So it kind of shows you how long that situation has been that way and how much, those conditions have been abandoned. So in relation to crime and fighting crime, I'm of the view that for Central Leeward, the government cannot be effective because the security officers, their health and safety, their environment, it's not looked after. So I'm challenging the Minister of National Security where that is concerned. And when I checked the budget for 2024, you will not believe what happened. There's only $10, which I was informed is a token fee, meaning if monies become available, then they will do something. So as it stands right now, there's 3 months, just about 2.5 months remaining in 2024. We could safely say Barley Police Station is not going to get anything, neither is Layou Police Station. So in 2021, they moved the Barley Police Station to Peters Hope, right? Put it in a private property, and the government is paying rent for that. Those are things that we will change as soon as we get into office, because we will refurbish the Barley Police Station in Barley. When I looked at it, I'm of the view that it could be rebuilt in the same location, but because of the changes now with climate change and so forth and the changes in weather pattern, we could build it up where we put it on stilts, carry the building up, use the underneath of it for parking. And if you have a high storm surge, because it's literally boundary with the sea, right? If you have a high storm surge, then the water could come up. You could easily drive out the vehicles, put them to higher grounds. The water will just come in and then go back out. But the station will still remain. So we're already looking at that for Barley and for Central Leeward.
Okay. All right. So we are coming close to the end of this interview.
I can't squeeze in one.
You go ahead. Yes, fine.
Yes, Doc, go ahead.
The previous candidate for the NDP, I remember listening to him. Yeah, a few of these same ideas. Do all the roads and focus on Central Leeward, when there was a little concern that there might have been a focusing on some other areas instead. How do you see yourself as being different to the previous NDP candidate?
You're referring to Mr. Ben Exeter?
Mr. Ben Exeter.
Okay. Well, I'm different in the sense that, well, to me, I'm complimenting what he has done. He had 2 runs, I think, 2015 and 2020, and he wasn't successful. And before him, I think Norrell Hall had 2 or 3 runs, and he wasn't successful either. And Mr. Young lost it, back in 94. The difference with me is my connection with the people, and my preparation. I have been immersed in politics in a way that I was following politics since I was about 7, 8, or 9, back in 84. I remember vividly the 84 campaign. Herbert Young, actually, my grandfather's house, the kitchen was the central area where meeting took place. So canvas, curtains Hill, and Barley. It was in our house and our kitchen. So I had that connection. And over the years, I've been immersed in the issues in terms of the current affairs, reading the newspapers. I watched Dr. Gonsalves a lot when he did that MNU Speaks on SVG TV. I remember a lot of what he said. I used to be captivated by the way he speak, right? So I listened to him religiously. I think it was a Tuesday evening that thing came on. If it wasn't a Tuesday, it was a Thursday. But I'm pretty much sure that it was a Tuesday. I listened to it all the time. And I remember how critical he was of some of the things that surgeons were doing. And today he's doing those and beyond. It's kind of crazy to see it.
Let me just stop you. Not to focus back on the question.
Yeah.
I know you fairly well. That I've been a good friend of Solo.
Yes.
Who live next to you. My father.
Yeah. Norman Solomon.
Yes, so I knew of the family. I used to.
Right.
That is an NDP family.
Right.
I understand the background and the drive. And so
Right.
And I have heard you also a pastor at one point in time.
Yes.
And so many questions could come out of that. The
That's
transition,
fine.
From a pastor to a politician.
Yeah.
My question was more in relation to Ben Exeter.
Ben?
He had come back from and was banking that Leo would have come out for him.
Right.
You being a little more from Curtains and less
from Leo.
with Leo.
Mm-hmm.
And Leo had documented a substantial part.
Yes.
I mean, Brewster got more votes.
Right.
He increased his total.
Right.
So that what?
Yeah. So that was against Ben.
I know. Yeah. Ben.
Right.
So why, as I was asking,
what's going to be the difference?
The difference between you. How do you feel?
What's going to be the difference?
You are going to overcome
all of that.
That deficit.
Okay.
And
so
win that seat.
Right.
You say you're going to.
Yes.
How
So
are you going to actually do?
I'll tell you that. And there's no problem in me telling you that straightforward because me letting the world know would not change the price of egg. Right. So what happened? The difference with Ben and I and me coming into at this point is my connection with the people. One, the people were the ones who called for me and they requested me. No, Dr. Thompson, I'm telling you this. This is what it is. I'm not inventing this. I'm not. And that is what compels me. That's what compelled me to come forward, right? Also, my involvement in the community, right? My connection with the community. All my relatives are still there. And I have never left the community. I've always been engaged in the community. One of the things that happened in the last 7 years, I spoke at the graduation ceremonies of every school in the community. I mean, if I wasn't present in the community, that would never happen, right? At the Barley Anglican School, I was the featured speaker at their graduation. At the Barley Anglican School, the Barley Government School, the Tech Vox Center, I spoke there twice. And my alma mater, the Barley Secondary School. Apart from being the featured speaker at the Barley Secondary School, I think that was 2020 or 2021. Apart from that, I have been there for the last 5 years where they used me to speak at their retreats for the Form 5. So even when I wasn't the featured speaker, I was always being used as someone to speak to in their retreat program. So that to show you my connection with the community. I am very connected with the community always connected with the community. So how are we going to win the seats? I know that Labour, ULP has the seat for the last 30 years. I'm aware of that. So essentially, history is against me. And you could understand that. The statistics are against me. And I can understand that. So Brewster won the seat better than his predecessor in 2015, right? I think Sir Louis won it in 2015 by 300 and something. They're about 370 something. They're about. Brewster came up and won it by 503. Now, in essence, nobody should be coming forward to challenge Brewster because he has
always a challenge. There's always a challenge.
No. What I'm saying. When you look at the statistics, nobody should really think of coming forward. But as Hamilton said, this guy is audacious because this man is coming up against 30 years. That's 3 decades, and the last election, 503 votes. How are you going to overturn this? How I'm going to overturn this? Curtains, Barely, have the largest demographics of voters, right? Curtains and Barely. That is where I'm going to be strongest, right? Now, I said at the convention that there's an exodus taking place right now. And I didn't try to fabricate that. I mean, I'm a believer. And I do not practice lie. I do not. There is an exodus taking place right now in Barely, in Curtains, in Central Leeward.
You mean an exodus towards?
An exodus. I'm coming.
Okay.
From the ULP, and from support to Brewster to Conroy Huggins. So that is happening right now. And as we're doing more and more groundwork, we're getting more and more commitment from the people. So what they're saying, I was in Rutland Vale last Thursday. I was in Bookman last Friday. When I was in Rutland Vale, we visited a lady who said she has been living there for over 20 years. And it was the first time a politician was visiting her. And she was so pleased. Rutland Vale, Doc, Rutland Vale. That is what the people are saying. That you are visiting. And that lady was so pleased. She liked what she saw and what she's hearing. I mean, she commented about the convention and so forth. And, she liked the presentation. She was impressed, So I am telling you right now, and I also met a retiree from the UK, a Vincentian who came up from the UK. And that person said to me and my team, Ben Exeter was with me also, that they didn't vote, they have not voted since they've been in St. Vincent, and they don't have any intention to vote. When we had the conversation, the gentleman said to me, Mr. Huggins, you got me. You're going to get my support. That is happening on the ground.
Okay, so hold on, guys. Because this segment should have ended since 9 o'clock. Mr. Huggins,
yes.
Is it possible for you to stay a little longer this morning? It's not a problem.
No problem.
All right, so I see Doc has questions. I have questions. Dianna has questions. People calling in,
No
right?
problem.
So what it is that we're going to do, we are going to take a break at this time to bring our scheduled programs, segments. And then we will be back hopefully around 9:25. All right. So then we will continue the program.
No problem at all.
Okay. All right. So let's jump into